Dutton Ranch just wrapped up its first season, and honestly, nothing about this finale played out the way anyone expected. Beth and Rip finally thought they were building something real in Texas, something far away from the ghosts that haunted them in Montana. But by the end of episode 9, everything they tried to build got torn apart in a single night. A brother is dead, a child is missing, and the man really pulling the strings this whole time has finally stepped out of the shadows. Let's talk about everything that happened, what it means, and where this story is heading next. The episode opens with Beth and Rip finally getting the proof they needed. For weeks, they suspected something was wrong with the cattle coming in from Mexico to the Petal Ranch, and it turns out their instincts were right. The cattle weren't just cattle. They were being used to smuggle drugs across the border, and Beulah Jackson's entire ranch had been the delivery point this whole time. When Rip and Beth intercept the shipment, they find over 3 kilos of fentanyl hidden inside, worth close to $2 million on the street. That's not a small operation. That's a business someone built over years, and Beulah has been sitting right in the middle of it the entire time. Now here's where it gets personal. Rob tries to stop them from taking the cattle, and honestly, that man never really had a chance against Rip. He gets pushed aside, and Beth and Rip take the ledger that proves everything. With help from Everett, Azul, and Zachariah, they confirm what they feared. This wasn't just a drug operation. It was Beulah's secret for 15 years, and it was the reason her ranch never went under during the hard times. Beth and Rip make a choice here that says everything about who they are. They don't sell the drugs. They don't use them as leverage. They simply return them, deciding they want nothing to do with any of it. But the problem is, the man behind the operation doesn't care about their intentions. His name is Mariano Reyes, and once he finds out his shipment got intercepted, he doesn't see 2 innocent ranchers trying to stay out of trouble. He sees thieves who need to be eliminated. This is the moment the entire season has been building toward. Mariano isn't some random cartel boss. He has history with the Jackson family that goes back decades, long before Beth and Rip ever set foot in Texas. And when he learns that his drugs were taken, he doesn't hesitate. He sends his men straight to Dutton Ranch, and what follows is one of the most brutal shootouts this show has given us. Rip, Everett, Azul, and Zachariah are ready for it, and they take down almost every single one of Mariano's men. Only one survives, and he gets strung up for interrogation. It's messy, it's violent, and it makes one thing very clear. Mariano underestimated exactly who he was dealing with. But while all of this chaos is happening at the ranch, something even more devastating is unfolding just a few miles away. Rob, who spent the whole season being one of the more unpredictable characters on this show, has a quiet, almost tender moment with his daughter Oreana. He tells her he's proud of her. It's a small scene, but it hits hard because moments later, everything falls apart. Joaquin, following his father's direct order, walks into that house and shoots his own brother dead. Right there, in the same home where they grew up together. Think about that for a second. Joaquin didn't hesitate. He didn't argue. He pulled the trigger on his own blood because Mariano told him to. That single moment changes everything for season 2. And we'll get into exactly why in a minute. But first, let's talk about what happens to Beth and Rip's family. Because this is where the episode truly rips your heart out. While the shootout is happening and while Rob is dying, Beth is desperately trying to find Carter. He's been distant the entire back half of this season. Avoiding his parents, avoiding responsibility, just trying to figure out who he is. Oreana finds him hiding out at Dwight's old place, and in a moment that could have changed everything for the better, she tells him they should just leave. Pack up, walk away from Rio Paloma, and start over somewhere no one knows their names. For one small moment it feels like these 2 kids might actually get a happy ending. But Dutton Ranch has never been a show that lets its characters have what they want. Just as Oreana is packing her bags to leave, everything collapses around her. And by the final minutes of the episode, Carter is gone. Taken. Mariano's men grab him and the message is clear. This isn't about drugs anymore. This is personal now, and Mariano just made the biggest mistake of his life by putting his hands on a Dutton family child. Now let's slow down for a second, because what Mariano did by kidnapping Carter is honestly one of the biggest miscalculations any villain on this show has ever made. He wasn't trying to start a war with a family. He was trying to protect a business. He thought he was dealing with 2 ranchers who stumbled onto something they shouldn't have. What he didn't understand is that Beth Dutton and Rip Wheeler don't back down when someone threatens their family. They become something else entirely. And now that Carter is gone, Mariano isn't just facing two angry parents. He's facing two people who have nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. Let's talk about why Beulah's story matters so much here, because without understanding her, none of this season 2 setup makes sense. Beulah didn't start out as a woman running drugs through her own ranch. She started out as a young girl trying to survive after unimaginable trauma. Years ago, she was assaulted, and the child from that assault was Rob Will. Mariano, who worked for her father at the time, helped bury the truth and took the blame so Beulah wouldn't be destroyed by the scandal. He fled to Mexico, and his own son, Joaquin, was left behind to be raised by the very woman whose life he had unknowingly complicated. That's the twisted family history hiding underneath every conversation these two brothers ever had. So when a drought hit years later and threatened to wipe out everything Beulah had built, Mariano came back into her life with an offer. Use the ranch to move product across the border, and her empire would survive. She said yes. And for 15 years, that decision kept Petal Ranch alive while slowly turning her into someone who had to look the other way every single time those trucks came in from Mexico. She wasn't a criminal by nature. She became one by necessity, and that distinction is exactly why her story hits differently than most villains on this show. Here's the tragic part though. Beulah spent this entire season testing Beth, almost hoping she'd find someone who could understand the weight of the decisions she'd made. She pushed and pushed, bringing up Beth's own complicated history, trying to see if Beth would ever be capable of getting her hands dirty the way she had. But Beth isn't Beulah. She proved that the moment she chose to hand the drugs back instead of using them. And I think that's the moment Beulah realized she had misjudged this family completely. She underestimated their loyalty to each other, and that miscalculation may end up costing her everything she has left. Now let's talk about Joaquin, because out of every character in this finale, his arc might be the most heartbreaking. All season long he's been the quiet one, the loyal one, the son who never got the recognition he deserved while Rob Will got handed the keys to the family legacy. You could feel his resentment building episode after episode, but I don't think anyone expected him to be the one who actually pulled the trigger. When Mariano gave the order to kill Rob Will, Joaquin didn't run. He didn't refuse. He walked into that house and did exactly what his father asked, even though it meant killing his own brother in the same home they grew up in together. That single decision is going to define everything about Joaquin heading into season 2. Right now, Beulah has no idea what really happened. She thinks Rob Will died at the hands of Mariano's men during the chaos of that night. She has no idea her own son, the one she raised and trusted, is the one who fired the shot. But secrets like that never stay buried for long, especially not on this show. And when Beulah eventually learns the truth, I don't think loyalty or blood is going to save Joaquin from her wrath. This is a woman who has spent her entire life protecting her family at any cost. Finding out that Joaquin murdered his own brother under Mariano's orders could be the one betrayal she simply cannot forgive. Let's shift over to Oreana for a moment, because her story might end up being the emotional backbone of season 2. She spent this entire episode trying to build a future for herself and Carter, only to watch her father die in front of her, and then lose Carter to kidnapping in the same night. She's pregnant, she's terrified, and she just lost the one parent who ever showed her real tenderness. Beulah has already made it clear she doesn't want Oreana's pregnancy becoming public knowledge, worried about what it could mean for the family's reputation. But with Rob Will gone and Carter missing, I have a feeling Oreana is about to find herself completely alone, caught between a grandmother running a criminal empire and a boyfriend who might not even make it back alive. And that brings us to the biggest question hanging over this entire show heading into season 2. What exactly is Mariano planning to do with Carter? Because here's the thing. Mariano didn't take Carter for money. He took him because he wants leverage over Beth and Rip, and because he underestimated just how far this family will go to get one of their own back. Beth has already lost people she loves. She is not going to sit back and wait for Mariano to make the next move. If season 1 taught us anything, it's that when you take something from Beth Dutton, she doesn't grieve quietly. She hunts. So where does all of this leave us heading into season 2? Let's break down exactly what's coming, because the pieces are already on the table. And honestly, I don't think any of these characters are walking into what's next unprepared for war. First, there's Mariano. This man has spent decades building a criminal empire in the shadows, staying hidden while everyone around him took the risks. Now that he's stepped into the light, he's exposed in a way he's never been before. He sent 6 men to eliminate Beth and Rip and lost almost all of them in one night. That's not a small failure for someone like Mariano. That's a wake-up call. He's going to come back in season 2 with more men, more resources, and far less patience, because he now understands exactly what kind of family he's dealing with. And the fact that he's holding Carter means he still believes he has the upper hand. I don't think he realizes yet just how badly that decision is going to backfire on him. Then there's Beulah. Right now, she's a woman standing in the wreckage of everything she spent her life protecting. She's lost one son to a bullet, and the other one just crossed a line she doesn't even know about yet. Her empire, the one she sacrificed everything to keep alive, is falling apart piece by piece, and the man she trusted to keep it standing is the same man responsible for tearing her family apart. I think season 2 is going to force Beulah into an impossible choice. Does she keep protecting the legacy she spent 15 years building? Or does she finally choose her family over the business that's cost her everything? Because right now she can't have both. And then there's Joaquin, carrying a secret that could destroy him the moment it comes out. He killed his own brother under his father's orders, and he has to live every single day knowing that Beulah has no idea. That kind of guilt doesn't just disappear. It eats at a person. I expect season 2 to spend a lot of time inside Joaquin's head, watching him try to justify what he did, while slowly realizing there may be no coming back from it. When Beulah finds out, and I do think she will find out, that confrontation is going to be one of the most emotional moments this show has ever given us. A mother learning her son killed his own brother for a man who abandoned them both decades ago. That's not something you walk away from easily. Now let's talk about Beth and Rip, because this is where the real heart of season 2 is going to live. These two have spent their entire lives fighting for the people they love, and now their son has been taken by a man who thought he could use fear to control them. He was wrong. I believe season 2 is going to show us a side of Beth and Rip we haven't fully seen yet. A version of them that isn't just defending their home anymore, but actively hunting down the man who took their child. Every ally they have, Everett, Azul, Zachariah, even Beulah if it comes down to it, is going to be pulled into this fight. Because at this point, Mariano isn't just a threat to their business. He's a threat to their family, and that changes everything. And we can't forget about Oreana and Carter, because their story might end up being the emotional center that ties everything together. Oreana is pregnant, grieving her father, and completely unsure of what her future looks like. If Carter comes back safely, and honestly I hope he does, this could be the moment that finally forces him to grow up. He's spent this entire season running from responsibility, and nothing forces a person to face who they are faster than nearly losing everything. If he returns changed, ready to actually be there for Oreana and the child they're about to have, it could be one of the most rewarding arcs this show delivers. But if the writers decide to break our hearts completely, Carter's fate is far from guaranteed, and that uncertainty is exactly what's going to keep people talking until season 2 finally arrives. At the end of the day, this finale wasn't just about drugs or cattle, or even Mariano finally showing his face after all this time. It was about family, and what people are willing to do to protect the ones they love, even when that love has already cost them everything. Beulah protected her legacy and lost her son. Joaquin protected his father's approval and lost his brother. And now Beth and Rip are about to show everyone exactly what it means to protect a child, no matter what it takes. Dutton Ranch has always been about the price people pay for survival, and season 2 is going to make that price higher than ever before. If this breakdown helped you understand everything that happened and everything that's coming, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And if you don't want to miss the moment season 2 news drops, go ahead and subscribe, because there's a lot more coming for this family, and I don't want you to miss a single second of it. Drop a comment below and let me know, do you think Carter makes it back safely? Do you think Beulah ever finds out what Joaquin really did? I want to hear your theories because honestly I think we're only just getting started with this story.